Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Baumer HHS and welcome to our today's webinar. My name is Andreas Brandt. I'm the marketing manager of Baumer HHS and I'm glad to be your host for today's webinar. Welcome to Baumer HHS Dialogue. Today is the first day of our 1 week full of information on glue application and quality control. Before we start with our today's topic on packaging production, I would like to give you some information about the webinar. All cameras and microphones are enabled during the webinar. You can use the chat function on the right bottom of your screen to ask your questions. All questions will be answered in the second part of the webinar. The full webinar will be recorded and all participants will receive a link after the webinar. Please don't forget to give us your feedback when you leave the webinar. And now we will come to today's agenda. After a short welcome from Percy Dengler, our Managing Director, we start with a presentation on today's topic. And in the second part, as I mentioned already, Martin Kotecki and Marcel van Meegen are here to answer your questions. Now, I wish you all an interesting webinar.
Dear participants of our today's Baumer HHS Dialogue. Dialogue is not just a headline, but a motto for a more interactive communication between you as guests and us as your hosts and technology providers. Baumer HHS, as a partner for the leading companies in this industry segment, establishes a platform for more and deeper communication. So use the opportunity to be an active part of the webinar. Ask whatever is of interest for you around the application topic. Discuss and get in-depth information from our application specialists. There is little that they haven't seen yet, so they should be able to answer all your questions. Welcome, and let's get started.
Hello, my name is Marcel van Meegen and I'm responsible for business development in packaging. So enjoy the webinar.
Hello, my name is Martin Kotecki and I'm since 18 years a Baumer HHS gluing guy. I'm a part of our business development department and responsible for our packaging applications. Please enjoy now our latest technology information in our today's webinar. Ladies and gentlemen, our topic today is make your packaging machine ready for dotting. Marcel and Martin want to give you today some guidance how to be more sustainable and more efficient. But why can that and our today's webinar be interesting for you? Or, in other words, why does it make sense to change something? Let's have a look on the today's content. We need about 30 to 40 minutes of your time to teach you in the latest technology improvements and give you answers to the following topics. In a first step, we would like to explain you why glue dotting makes sense. In the second step, we will show you how you can switch over to a dotting mode with some very easy tools. In our third step, we will switch to Rick Pallanti, our packaging specialist and head of Baumer HHS in the United States, who will give you an idea why working with a Tesla applicator is interesting for your business. Within the fourth step, we want to show you how customers install the HHS solution and what kind of benefits they have already reached. After that, we would like to have an open discussion with you and want to answer all your remaining questions. As Andreas mentioned before, you can already enter your question during the presentation in this webinar tool. I'm starting with the almost most important question: what keeps you awake at night? Maybe your thoughts are like many others of your colleagues today. My management and I want to do something against the climate change and want to reduce the carbon footprint. My business is running well, but where should I get all these raw materials from, like glue for my packaging process? I should reduce the production costs and don't know how. Question is now how you can start to get a better sleep. We suggest you have to download first the GlueCalc app from the Apple Store or Google Play. With that tool, you can calculate possible CO2 savings, and it will also show you how much money you can save. In the next step, we will show you how to do this. When you start the app, you will find on the first page an OK button to start the calculation. In the next step, you have to enter your application settings. In our sample, we are using a carton erector with 4 glue lines on it. The length of our sample application is 30 mm for each bead. After that, we inform the app about our production data. In our sample, 80 products per minute and 120 production hours a week. In the next step, you fill in the adhesive data and your current glue costs. When you press the Calculate Saving button, you will see your production potentials in the graphic. With a 5 mm dotting, you get more than 20,000 euros saving each year, and on top, an annual carbon footprint reduction of about 80,000 kilograms. The result and the recommended production you can send to your mail address or share it with other people. And like quite often in a life, sometimes less is more. And this is also the truth in gluing. Instead of squeezing glue out of the box, a dot pattern can fix the cardboard with a similar or even higher bonding strength. Okay, our calculation is done now, but this is only theory. Let's have in the next step a look in our solution center. There we can see some of the product that we need to fulfill these calculated savings.
Hello gluing friends, welcome to our Baumer HHS Solution Center here in our headquarters in Krefeld, Germany. My name is Martin Kotecki, and today I want to show you how you can react on a worldwide glue shortage, how you can reduce your carbon footprint, and how you can save money depending on your glue consumption. The answer is dotting. With our dot box, we change from line to dots with a minimum effort. A lot of customers already started their saving program with our Dotbox Kit, and they save more than 50% of their current glue consumption. So here we can see a conventional glue application, for example a pizza carton in a line mode, and today we want to show you how you can save this with a dot mode. We are proud that we have developed our Dotbox Kit, which make a change from line to dot very easy. Just consists of our dot box and the Tesla applicator. On our simulator we have an HMI that is driving our melter to set up the temperatures on gun and hoses, and also control classical applicators like pneumatic or our Tesla Evo gun, which can connect to a classic PLC. The PLC is driving a classical line application. To switch to a dot mode or to dotting, it's quite easy with our dot box. So we just press this button, setup button, adjust the Tesla, go in a dot mode, we choose the stitch and repeat mode and set up the dot distance we want to reach in our application. The same, of course, we can do for pneumatic applicators. Now our dot box between the HMI and the applicator is changing from line to dots. So in our diagnostic tool, we show directly how much glue you are saving depending on the dot distance and the dot size. So as you have seen, with the Dotbox it's possible to change the line in a dot mode with electronic or pneumatic applicators. We adapt the Tesla in the Dotbox Kit, so that is something which really makes sense to run your production with an electronic gun and with our Dotbox.
So for us, the Dotbox kit is something like a starting kit that gives you the chance to check your calculation in practice. The kit includes 2 Tesla valves that can be connected to Nordson or Nordson compatible gluing systems. There is 1 dot box that can drive maximum 4 glue valves and generate your dotting pattern. As well, you find in the kit different screw-on nozzles with different diameters and 2 standard packaging brackets. In case that the standard mounted 180 hose connection doesn't fit, there are also 90-degree and 45-degree hose connections included. Of course, you find also the right connection cables to solve a replacement in less than about 2 hours. Because of the low price for the starting kit, we expect that you can reach the return on investment in less than 3 months. Your current situation is maybe like this. After installing the kit, it should look like this. And that has the wonderful green effect that you don't need the compressed air anymore. There are further information how to replace your existing application material in our GlueTube channel. Just use the camera of your mobile phone to watch that tutorial and to follow our GlueTube channel. Okay, we are moving forward and solved already our second step. I hope it's clear now how you can start a change. Your local HGS gluing friend would like to help you to integrate the kit, or even made a business plan how to upgrade a complete machine or the production plant. Now let's have a look on the Tesla applicator itself. Please listen first to the head of Baumer HGS Business Development, Mr. Thomas Walter. He will speak about different application systems and can give you a first idea of the Tesla's strengths.
Dotting and stitching saves you money by reducing adhesive usage in end-of-line packaging applications. It's true that most any adhesive dispensing system can dot or stitch, but will the costs associated with the equipment outweigh the adhesive savings? Learn what can happen if you use the wrong technology to dot or stitch in your packaging applications. The service life of an electro-pneumatic adhesive application valve is usually between 50 and 150 million switching cycles. If an adhesive line is divided into 10 graduations, only 1/10 of the products can be produced before components of the adhesive applicator need to be replaced. It's simple math. Depending on what type of adhesive dispensing applicators you are using, your savings, made through stitching and dotting, may be at the expense of higher spare parts costs and downtime associated with changing them. Why don't business realize they are paying more and saving less than what they could? The answer is, many companies have become accustomed to this situation and are not aware of the high cost of the spare parts used in their hot melt applications. Electromagnetically driven adhesive applicators, such as the Baumer HHS Tesla, have a 10 to 20 times longer service life. Why do many adhesive dispensing suppliers want you to stitch or dot with your current electro-pneumatic applicators? There are 2 obvious answers. The first answer is simple. by offering you electromagnetic applicators, instead of their standard electro-pneumatic, would destroy their business model. One of the leading suppliers of hot melt systems publishes that it generates 54% of sales from spare parts and services. Why would the supplier jeopardize that? The second answer is, all suppliers have electromagnetic applicators in their stable of products. However, these have often been neglected in research and development, and are no longer state-of-the-art. Most suppliers only use their electromagnetic guns when pressured, and often they only work in very limited situations. Wouldn't you like to hear about an electromagnetic gun that would meet your packaging specification and save you all the money you expected?
Thanks to Thomas. And let's switch over from Germany to Rick Pallanti in the United States. Rick is the head of our plant in Dayton, Ohio, and since many years a gluing and packaging specialist.
Hi, I'm Rick Pallanti, and welcome to our virtual trade show for PMMI. Sorry we don't see you live in Chicago, but here you are on tape here in Dayton, Ohio. This is our lab, and we're going to talk to you today about how to dot your way to a greener day using our Tesla all-electric 24-volt actuated gun. The Tesla is kind of revolutionary to the packaging industry. If you want to think about it, most of your guns you're used to are pneumatic, and a pneumatic gun requires air, and therefore it has seals. And you'll see that guns a lot of times will, out of their weep holes, will be adhesive leaking out of it due to the seals failures. Most pneumatic guns will have maybe 5,000 to 50,000 cycles before they need some type of spare part or repair. The Tesla is unique in the aspect that it's all electric, so there are no dynamic seals to fail. So on the Tesla, you're looking at a 20% longer service life than a pneumatic valve. And what's nice about it is it runs off the same 24-volt signal that your pneumatic applicator runs off of. So there's really no change for what you have to do in order to go from pneumatic to electric. This also means that you're not using compressed air any longer. Compressed air is a very expensive resource, and it's something that you have to bring to the machine, you have to bring to the gun, and a pneumatic gun will operate differently depending on what type of pneumatic pressure is coming to it. If the pneumatic area pressure drops, then the gun doesn't cycle, or it wants to string, or it wants to drool. You'll never have that problem with a Tesla gun. You'll always operate the same way each and every time. The Tesla is also very, very robust. This, I wish you could feel this, but it weighs about twice of that of a pneumatic applicator. It's a tank. It will last a very long time. So you're looking at about 1 billion cycles for this gun versus 50 million for a pneumatic applicator. Now, we talked about how to dot your way to a greener day. So what does that mean? What we're going to do is, on a packaging application, what we're going to do is take what you normally would do as a bead, which would be a solid line of adhesive, and what we're going to do is we're going to dot it. We're going to take that 24-volt signal and we're going to run it through a dot box, and we're going to break it into these dots. When you have a very long bead, there's a lot of residual heat that sits in the product. So that can lead to pop opens a lot of times. So it's kind of like you have to think about it as a jelly sandwich. If you've got a carton and both sides are glued together and it pops open and you've got glue on both sides, then you've got a cohesive failure. A lot of times that's because there's too much adhesive on the carton, and that's why you get the pop open. Going to dotting really kind of eliminates that, because now you have very individual applications of glue with the same amount of heat through that. So I'm using 50% glue, and you can still see how I'm getting great fiber tear. If you try to stitch a bead, you're still basically having just larger beads with a small break in between. So you're really not gaining that much for your application. But in this case, when we do the dotting, we're reducing glue by 50%, and we're still getting a good tear pattern. Now, you may not know about Baumer HHS, but we've been in the business for a long time. We're really known for making the carton, for making the folding carton. the application that we do is for very high speed cold adhesive gluing. Cartons like this will run anywhere between 1,000 and 1,500 feet a minute. That's incredibly fast, much faster than what you normally run in general packaging. So what this does is it says that we know how to run an electric gun. We know how to make an electric gun last long. We know how to dispense the adhesive. And we've taken that knowledge and we've transferred it to hot melt technology. And that's what we've done with Tesla. In order to get the Tesla to work the way you want it to, we've developed a dot board. And what the dot board does is it takes that 24-volt signal. We're able to program it, and this can go either into the OEM box and run from the PLC and take that 24-volt signal, or we have a dot box that we can sell, and that goes in between the applications. So you can either do it inside, DIN rail mounted, or we can do it as a separate box in the system itself. But by taking this dot board, we're able to do that signal, and then we can break it into a 50%, 60%, 30%, whatever works for your application. And we can add the Tesla and the dot box to your existing application. Don't even have to change your hoses or your melter. We can just add the Tesla gun, add the dot board, and you can start dotting. Now in this application, we're showing all HHS. So what we have is we have our X-melt unit, which warms up in about 20 to 25 minutes. That's typically twice as fast as most melters in the market right now. So you're using a lot less heat, and the way this is set up, if you want to come in and take a quick look, we've got it set up so it's got the fins, so the top portion is unheated and only the bottom portion is heated. We run that through this hose, and this hose is only 30 millimeters in diameter. Most hoses are 45 millimeters in diameter. It's like trying to wrestle an anaconda through your OEM machine. So by being able to go to the smaller diameter hoses, you're not losing anything because the hose core is the same as what it would be on the larger hose for the 45 millimeter. So it's an 8 millimeter hose core, which will give you the same flow. So you're able to get the flow and have a smaller overall profile, which is very beneficial for any type of maintenance, or if you're trying to take longer hoses through the machines. And then it comes to our Tesla gun. This whole system right now is set at 350 degrees. The Tesla with the cover on it, what this cover does is it protects you. So for incidental contact, when you're trying to change a nozzle or take this off, it's going to protect you for coming in contact with it. And that's a really beneficial safety aspect for the machine. Now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to show you something here with the Tesla gun. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a 50% glue savings. I'm going to run the gun, I'm going to run the speed of this very slow. And you can see here. The Tesla is very quiet. It's almost 30 decibels quieter than a pneumatic valve. And from what you can see here, this is 50% glue savings at that speed. And you can see that it's almost still a solid line, but there's 50% less glue at that same speed as what you would have in your application as if you were doing that full bead. Now what I'm going to do is run this again. And we're going to run it at a faster speed. Here we go. And you can see here, now we've got the individual dots. And now you can start to see the individual dots as the speed increases. In some cases, you can think of dotting as a poor man's run-up. So as the speed decreases on your line, let's say that you have a collapse or something stops, you're not going to have that squeeze out that you get or that dripping, because of the dotting is going to be able to maintain that same amount of volume for each dot that comes out. They're either just going to be spaced closer together or farther apart depending on the speed. So we're going to go ahead and take this back one more time. And we're going to increase the speed. And you can see the dots spread out, but you can see that the dots have remained in the same size as we go through the whole aspect of this demonstration. So let's take it back for the final one. And move it forward a little bit, there we go. And then we're going to do the final one at high speed. And so you can see that the dots are the same no matter what the speed is on this. So you're able to have the same amount of volume every single time, no matter what your speed is. So this is a really great way to control your volume, to control the amount of adhesive that you use, and be able to still get a really good bond on your application. Now, if you'd like to know more about this, at the end of this demonstration, there'll be a chat on the website, and we'd be more than happy to answer any questions that you may have about this. But Tesla is the next generation of what you want to go to in your hot melt equipment. It's going to save you glue, it's going to save you air, and it's going to save you spare parts. It's going to save you headaches. It's going to make your gluing aspects so much easier than what you've been currently doing. Thanks for your time today, and thank you for visiting us here at PMMI.
Yeah, thanks to Rick in the United States, and coming back to that what he is saying about the gaskets. Tesla is running without the dynamic gasket, which you can see in the animation. This is the reason why we can reach 1 billion cycles and why it makes sense to go for dotting. Let's see in the next video what you can do with this glue valve. Before we finish now our third step, I just would like to give you an additional hint. All the improvements we talked about you can use on most of your current glue systems. But of course, Baumer HHS is using its own technology for the glue supply. With our XMAT unit, you can even improve your energy balance by 56%, depending on what kind of gluing unit you are using right now. So if you are interested in that as well, don't hesitate to contact your local Baumer HHS gluing friend. Okay, our third step is done. We have understand why the HHS equipment can be useful for the packaging industry. Before we start our dialogue, let's have a look to our fourth step, the experience in the market.
Hi, this is Victor Sheldon from Mountain View Packaging in Boise, Idaho. Our experience with the HHS Tesla guns and dotting program has been phenomenal. Our first year, we've saved right around $20,000 in glue savings by just switching over to the dotting system, as well as glue system downs was cut dramatically to about 60% than what we were having prior to our glue systems.
I hope those videos give you a help what you can do in your production. At least, we would like to have also a short look to our gluing friend Tongli Wei in China. He is the head of Baumer HHS in Shanghai and helped a customer in the beverage industry. In the first step, he was doing that what we have described today in our webinar on a first packaging line. In the second step, he made a rollout plan to do the improvements for the complete factory. With the shown production data, he saved about 300,000 euro each year, and on top of that, he is after 2 years still running with his first Tesla valves. Ladies and gentlemen, we have finished our 4-step program for today. We have learned how we can make our packaging world a bit better. Packaging is always important because it is saving our food and goods that we have produced with the energy of our planet. At least we are also happy that our corona vaccine was even packed very well. I want to thank you for watching this webinar and hope that we have an ongoing discussion on the portal. For the next night, I hope that you are not awake anymore and you have a very good sleep. Thanks, your gluing guy Martin.
Yes, thank you, Martin, for your presentation. I think we have covered all the issues in your presentation. Now we're coming back to our possibility of question and answer. So Martin and Marcel will now be live in the chat moderation, and we will get now all questions and answers. So sorry for that. We go now. Martin, first question from Per. You mentioned that the Dotbox can only drive 4 valves. What can I do if I'm just running 5 or 9 guns?
Yeah, so first of all, the Dotbox Kit is something like a startup that you can try something for your facility. So the more professional version at the end, like that, what Tongli, for example, was doing in China, is then replacing the production with a dot board. But the calculations, what we made before, is something what you can try with this box quite easy. So, for example, let's change two valves. But if we are talking about another application like a wraparound, which is equipped with 5 guns or 9 guns, depending on if you're running this with a double head or not, then you need definitely more channels. And for that reason, we have the dot board as well in the program, where you can run then 16 valves, for example, with just one single display. There is, by the way, I think in this portal download link where you find these kind of brochures, Dotbox, Dotboard. So the difference is just that the box make it a little bit easier to start the changing process and try it in your factory.
Thank you, Martin. I think that covers it. There's another question about the Tesla applicator. Does it work with hot melt only or also with cold glue?
Yeah, so the Tesla valve is definitely a hot melt application valve, but the principle is very similar to our cold glue application valves. So there are other products in our portfolio, so that we can run as well the cold glue in a packaging process. It's a little bit different. It's also a little bit smaller, but the principle is similar to that what you've seen in the animation before. So it's all based on an electromagnetic field.
Okay, perfect. Pierce asking, with your solution, you can reduce the glue and in this case also the amount of plastic material in the packaging, but it's still plastic, isn't it?
Yes, indeed. Right now, there is, or let's say, the standard materials which is used is of course still a plastic, but there are a lot of researches in an ongoing process on the process with the glue suppliers, and as well we are presenting a new concept on the next exhibition in the Fachpark in Nürnberg. Where we introduce a new concept to apply a new kind of glues which are not based on plastic anymore. So there is also a quite new application system.
Okay, thank you. We come maybe Marcel can answer the question about the maximum glue viscosity for the Tesla guns.
Yes, sure. That's a good question because it's very important due to that we're running with such a high speed with these application heads. We are not really limited, but the best viscosity should be not more than 2000 millipascal. More ideal is even less than that to get the perfect result. And you can use a lot of different glues, but you need to be in the range of the viscosity possibilities of this application head. And there are different glues in the market which can be used with this application head. And in some cases or single cases, you need to do it like you ever do it with application systems. You need to test something if the adhesive is working or not.
Okay, thank you very much. There's from Peter a question about installation and implementation. Is there an issue to install a 6-corner glue application? Martin? Or...
No, I don't think so. As I mentioned before, it's just based, so with a starting kit, of course not. Yeah, so the Dotbox Kit is just including 2 guns, but you may extension that to 4 or even change over to the dot board. So the technology is a very similar. Yeah, so you can upgrade this with the dot boards or with a dot board instead of the dot box. So then you can handle as well these kind of application. And let's say the price level is also identical in this case.
Okay, fine. There's another question regarding, let's say glue availabilities.
The cold glue valves. Yes, of course. So in general, the shortage of raw material is of course a topic for PVA as well as for hot melt. So for that reason, I in general believe it's a quite good opportunity to solve that problem with the dotting pattern. And of course, the Dotbox has all the glue application valve from our HGS program in this kind of controller, so that you can run also PVA glues with this Dotbox. Not with the Tesla, so it means then that you need another glue applicator. But of course, the Dotbox is also something what can order separately for an installation. It's not depending on this kit what we introduce here today. So a kit is just something like something to start. You can configure as well a known solution, for example, based on cold glue valves.
Okay, fine. So Richard is asking a question about you only need the 24-volt DC signal to operate the Tesla gun?
Yeah, so we are using different Tesla applicators. So there is a Go and an Evo version, which is based on a 24-volt coil. So that means that you can drive that with a PLC. But in this case, you maybe have some topics to generate a gluing or a dotting pattern. In this case, we recommend there this box or the dot board between, which is of course something like a driver. In this case, you can also use the Pro version, which has even a frequency of 600 hertz. So it's 24-volt versions reach a frequency in the gluing gun of 135 when, let's say, the viscosity is ideal and temperature and so on. Yeah? So means there is a limitation in the frequency when you run the 24-volt PLC version. But for that reason, minimum when you use the board or the box, you can add as well the Pro version, which can go up to 600 hertz, which is, for example, necessary when the speed under the nozzle is quite fast. So then it's maybe better to run that version with with a connection to the dot board or not directly to the PLC.
Okay, thank you. So I have another question. Can a Tesla valve run with all glues available on the market?
No, it is always my wish, and we are really working on that. Of course, you can mention that we have always an development team which is working on new applicators, and our, let's say, our heartbeats for electronic valves since HHS is on the market. And yeah, but the today's version is like this, that of course it can't handle all the glues. That is also the reason why we are also using pneumatic applicators. So let's say up to a viscosity more than 2000 millipascal. I guess it could become a little bit more critical because, or especially in the packaging market, because the distance between nozzle and the product is not like in let's say in folding carton applications where you're very close to the product. In this market, we are facing more often a bigger distance, and this is yeah, more or less a bigger topic for the electronic valves. So because you need the shooting energy, and a high viscosity is breaking that down. So in this case, it needs a longer time from point A to B to reach the carton. And for that reason, I recommend definitely a glue lower than 2000 millipascal. So to run really in a stable process in the market.
Okay, I agree to that. So there is Adam asking a question, Pharmaceutical Production. I think there is a misunderstanding about Tesla as a gun and Tesla as adhesive. So maybe we can just clarify this.
Yeah, of course. So for in general, of course, it can be used in pharmaceutical production, but it's had nothing to do with the glue. It's only the material what we are offering. The material which is in this valve or in the melter is coming from different glue suppliers. Yeah.
Okay, coming about cost. You have any prices, Martin? Marcel?
Like I mentioned, so we have a price level for the starting kit. In general, you can't say it's always the same price, but the kit is something, let's say roughly about 5,000 euro. But this is only the starting kit. Yeah. So I mentioned that when we saw now several applications, quite often horizontal cartoners, where you only need these two guns. And there you can start this saving and reach that saving in less than 3 months. So I think the return on investment is really in this case quite fast given. So for that reason, we also decided that you can try it for that time period and find out if your calculations are right and you're successful with this starting kit.
Yeah. With all the standards we have already in this section, it's definitely even still often individually on the application customer. So we have basic kits, but at the end of the day, you have to look at the application itself to optimize or modify step by step. And then, of course, we will have different costs, but that can be individual taken from customer to customer. So if there are people interesting right now watching the webinar, please join us, give us your information, what's your need, and then we can talk about that.
Yeah, it's a little bit like that what we showed from Tongli in that sample, where you start just with a, let's say, try something, show the customer what we can do with the starting components, and then you made this kind of rollout plan with Dotboard, how many guns we are replacing and what time you're changing a complete machine.
Yes, perfect. So just asking about, can we remove the red cover?
Yeah. Okay. Of course, we can remove the red cover is something for safety reasons. So that is a standard on the gun itself to protect the operator. But depending on size or whatever, of course, the cover can remove them. Then it's even a little bit thinner. For example, if it needs to be integrated in complex machines where you already have covers around, so where the safety rules in this case are, of course, they are strong, but let's say the machine builder is already creating a safety guide around the complete process there. So in this case, it's not that necessary like in very open machines where you can touch the surface quite easy.
Okay, so then actually I have no question, but I have one remark. Next week starting Fachpack in Nuremberg in Germany. And Martin, first of all, we will meet you and Marcel personally in Nuremberg. And what will you show and what will be the main feature what you can talk to the customers or something, vision maybe?
First of all, of course, we want to show the complete program that we can offer for the packaging market. So starting from our X-Feed system until the controlling of the glue on the product. So we have a simulator that we've seen in the video here, as well on the booth to show our customers what we can do with that. But we have also, let's say, a new concept. I mentioned already here in this chat. When we're talking about other glues, so there are further developments to be more sustainable, more green, so reduce even the plastic amount on that what we still have in the products, and that is the topic on the exhibition next week. So we have a concept there what we've shown with a new nice patent, and that is, yeah, I think the future. This is not ready as a concept, but we are on a really good way to make the next step in a greener gluing.
And it's even not only static. It's you can see things running on the booth. So that's always interesting to see something working and not only on a screen. So just visit us on our booth and we can show you what we can do.
Yes, that's an offer. Visit us on Nuremberg. But we have some additional questions after talking about the future. Our Tesla can replace for all standard application heads. Martin,
all standard application heads. So what are all standard applications heads?
We first need to define if it's cold or hot glue.
In general, I would say yes. So there are a lot of different versions of Tesla application heads for standard applications. But like I mentioned, it's of course based on the glue material itself. So the limitations or that valve are really in viscosities and in distance. So if we have an application where the product is quite far away, there are maybe more arguments for a pneumatic applicator. That is also the reason why we have our AirTo series for a PLC connection or for our own controllers. That is used especially for high viscosity products, where we need these, let's say, the energy from shooting from point A to B. So there we made trials from, let's say, half a meter distance, and you still apply a nice dot. But there we have the same topic that, like that what Thomas Walter mentioned in this webinar before, that you can start some savings there and have also a nice application, even with a big distance from nozzle and product. But in this case, the lifetime is not really high. So it means you start saving something in glue, and the quality, of course, this argument is also given, that you have a nice bonding force and not so much glue on the product, but you have to use then more spare parts in the production. So for that reason, at the end, it's an example of calculation. Is it maybe better to change the glue material to run as well the benefit of the long time running with the Tesla? If not, so then we can do the same with an AirTo applicator, but the negative effect is then that the replacement needs to be done much more often.
Okay, thank you. We have one additional question. Which brand glue or grade of glue will meet the ROE in 3 months for the cost savings?
Yeah,
so I think it's not a brand, it's maybe quality.
Quality, yeah. So like you've seen in the glue calc app before, we're using quite often polyolefin glues with a cost of €4, like in my sample today. So in this case, you reach that quite fast. But the trend right now on the market is that even the price for the hot melt is more increasing and not decreasing. So it means the return on investment, I think, is, even when the price level is still going higher and higher for the glue material, we reach that maybe even faster. It's always depending on the glue pattern and your production data.
Yeah, it can slightly be different of what kind of application you have and how expensive your adhesive is. So there might be slightly differences in that time period, but at least the most biggest benefit on that is that you are saving glue. You're using more or less 50% less glue than with a regular line if you switch over to dotting. So it's simple maths, but it depends on the costings of your adhesive and the application itself.
Okay, thank you, gentlemen. I think we've got one last question about, yes, we have heard about dot board and exact dots and all that stuff. What about the interface when you implement it? Is the question of Sean.
Okay. So in general, the exact is an HHS glue controller, and the dot board and the dot box is a little bit different. So here it's an interface between the OEM's machine PLC, and the dot board and the dot box are doing identical jobs. So as something like a driver to use an incoming signal. For example, you saw in the video or in my samples, some glue lines of 40, 50, 60 millimeters. This is switching to the dotting pattern. So in our exact controllers, we have a glue pattern control, starting points, and lengths of glue signals. This is something what is in with the dot board is the machine PLC doing. So means that is in the dot box is similar hardware, but the solution is identical like the dot board. It's a driver between interface and the gun.
Okay, perfect. Thanks a lot, Martin. Thanks a lot, Marcel. I think we're coming to the end. Thank you, everybody, for your participation, for the questions, for the time you have been here with Baumer HHS in the webinar. I would like to draw your attention also to the next fairs where we are present. So we are not only in Nuremberg at the Fachpark, so the colleagues from the US are also present at the PAC Expo in Las Vegas. So you have the possibility to meet the experts, and the experts here, Martin Kotecki and Marcel van Meegen. We just now will finish the webinar and thank everybody for the participation. Thanks a lot.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Thanks.
Ciao.
Bye.